Elections are usually serious, momentous occasions, a time for citizens to make considered choices about their leaders. But history has seen its fair share of peculiar elections that break this mold, where the elections are animals, the winners are deceased, or sometimes you're not voting for someone to hold office, but you're voting to remove a person from your city. First is the curious phenomenon of animals running for and even sometimes winning elections. This might seem like an urban legend, but several towns have elected animals as symbolic or even protest candidates, often reflecting local disillusionment with human politicians. One famous example comes from Lahida, Texas, where a beer-loving goat named Clay Henry was elected mayor in the 1980s. Lahidas, a small desert town, wasn't necessarily looking for legislative progress, so when Clay Henry took office, it was all in good humour. The goat, known for his affinity for beer, quickly became a beloved local figure. Tourists would come to meet him and even feed him a beer or two, creating a quirky reputation for the town. Clay Henry's reign was such a success that following mayors were also goats, often kids of Clay Henry. And today, we are on to Clay Henry IV as mayor. In California, another animal rose to power under similar circumstances. Sonoma, a small town near San Francisco, elected a black Labrador Rottweiler mix named Bosco in 1981. Bosco won a race against two human candidates, who were good-natured enough to let the election stand as a symbolic gesture. Bosco, running on a playful platform that promised a bone in every dish, a cat in every tree, and a fire hydrant in every corner, served as an honorary mayor until his passing in 1994. Not all unusual candidates have fur, however. Some elections have been marked by the uncanny fact that a candidate passed away mid-campaign yet still won the vote. In these cases, the sudden deaths of candidates didn't necessarily dissuade voters, many of whom voted to honour their memory or continue their legacy. In 2000, Missouri Governor Mel Carnahan was running for US Senate seat when he tragically died in a plane crash just weeks before Election Day. Due to Missouri's election laws, his name remained on the ballot, and despite his passing, he defeated the incumbent Senator John Ashcroft. This posthumous victory was largely due to the public's respect for Carnahan and their desire to see his work continue. His wife, Jean Carnahan, was appointed to serve in his place, allowing his legacy to live on. Another poignant example of posthumous victory came in Hawaii in 2002, when Congresswoman Patsy Mink passed away just days before the election. Mink, a long-serving representative and the first woman of colour elected to Congress, had her name on the ballot despite her death. Out of respect, and perhaps a desire to honour her decades-long service, voters re-elected her posthumously, leading to a special election to fill her seat shortly afterward. The outcome reflected the deep loyalty her constituents felt for her, even in her absence. But posthumous victories aren't always born out of tragic respect. In 2018, Dennis Hoff, a Nevada State Assembly candidate, won his election after passing away just a month prior. Hoff was a colourful and controversial figure, known for his role as a brothel owner and television personality. Nevada law prevented his name from being removed from the ballot so close to Election Day, and despite his death, garnered enough votes to win. Today, voting is done in secret, and there is a good reason for that. In the early days of the United States and in other nations, voting was a very public affair. Before the introduction of secret ballot, most voting was conducted viva voce, or by voice. Citizens will stand in front of election officials and announce their choice of candidate for all to hear. This system allowed for transparency, but it also invited intimidation and peer pressure, as voters were easily influenced by onlookers, friends, or community leaders. The viva voce method gradually faded as people began to demand greater privacy and protection from coercion, eventually leading to the adoption of the secret ballot in the mid-19th century. But not all voting was done in favour of someone. Some votes were cast because you didn't like a person. Ostracism was an ancient Athenian practice designed to protect the city's democracy by exiling individuals perceived as threats to the state. Held annually, the process allowed citizens to vote on whether they wanted to banish a potential dangerous figure without a trial. Citizens gathered and wrote the name of the person they wanted ostracized on a piece of pottery called an ostraka. If a minimum of around 6,000 votes were cast, the individual with the most votes would be exiled from Athens for 10 years. Ostracism wasn't a punishment for a crime. It was a precautionary measure aimed at preventing any one person from gaining excessive power. The ostracized person's property remained intact, and they could return after the exile period without legal or social repercussions. Several prominent Athenians were ostracized over the years, often due to their influence in politics or military affairs. Aristides the Just, known for his integrity and fairness, was famously ostracized in 482 BC, allegedly due to his political rivalry with Themistocles and the jealousy he aroused among the citizens. Interestingly, Aristides was later recalled due to his indispensable skills in Athens' military efforts against the Persians. Themistocles himself, a brilliant strategist who led Athens to victory at the Battle of Salamis, was later ostracized around 471 BC when his influence became seen as excessive. Another notable figure was Cimon, an aristocratic general and statesman who was ostracized in 461 BC partly due to his opposition to the democratic reforms led by Pericles. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Aha Historian. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Such small actions can really help smaller, newer channels like mine. See you next time.